my friends, it's your art teacher, Miss Barnett. And in this week's lesson titled Pattern Landscapes, we've taken some time and looked at two different artist examples of landscapes in nature, and that they added beautiful, vivid patterns to their compositions or their pictures. Today, you'll be creating a pattern by mixing and repeating lines and colors, and we'll be looking for lines and shapes in landscapes. Then we're going to create our own landscape, and you're going to add some patterning into it with either watercolor paint or tempera paint. So what you're going to do today is we're going to be creating a patterned landscape. I want you to think about the different types of landscapes that you might have seen either in storybooks, in real life, or in pictures, or in movies. They could be things like a garden, a mountain range, the beach, la playa, or a forest. So let's think about what kind of landscape, what type of nature scene we're going to show, and then we're going to sketch with a pencil our landscape and experiment with different types of patterns. So what you're going to need today to do this project is a piece of paper. I'm working on a 12 by 18 sheet of paper, but whatever kind of paper you have is fine. You're going to need a pencil to sketch out your landscape, and then you will need either watercolors or tempera paint. If you don't have either of those, go ahead and use markers and crayons. I'm fine with that. I just want to see you making a landscape with patterns. So gather your materials and meet me back here, and I'll show you how to draw a landscape. Let's get started. All right, kiddos, so I've got my paper, I've got my pencil. I think I'm going to make my picture of hills and mountains and a field of flowers. So think about where you want your picture to be. There'll be no people, no buildings in this, just nature, solamente naturaleza. So I'm going to start with the foreground, which is going to be at the bottom of my paper. We're going to put some hills in here. Draw big, guys. Don't be afraid to draw small. Now let's put some mountains in the middle ground. They're going to stop about here. Make sure these come all the way to the bottom. So I've got my mountains in my picture. And then I'm going to add the sky. So maybe I'm going to have a sun, some clouds. All right, guys, there's my sketch. Now I'm going to show you how to make some patterns. So guys, we're going to do some practice patterning here. So you can take out a practice sheet of paper. I'm going to draw a couple of squares here just to have a space for our patterns to go in. We could do a couple of these. We could do diagonal lines as a pattern. We could do dots as a pattern. We could do horizontal lines. We could make vertical line patterns, curvy lines. We could make broken lines and dots. Good. We could do a bunch of scalloped lines. Remember, these types of lines could go any direction. The only limitation is that it's a repeating element of art like a line or a shape. So we could do shapes. We could do triangles. We could do repeating squares and rectangles. So take a couple of minutes and practice doing a couple of these patterns, or make up your own original pattern, and then we'll meet back here with our paint and I'll show you what to do. Okay, kiddos, I've got my paint, I've got my landscape, I've got my brushes and my water cup, and my paper towels to blot my paintbrush on. So remember, the proper way to use paint is we swish and wipe the brush, and then we blot the brush dry or clean between colors. Big brushes are for big spaces, little brushes are for small spaces. If you want, you can draw your pattern into these, but I'm not going to bother doing that. You don't have to. And I'm just going to get started with my painting. Let's go. I'm going to speed up the tape and you can watch. All right, friends, here is my completed pattern landscape painting. I created lots and lots of different patterns in each part of my landscape, including the front or the foreground where these hills are, the middle ground where the mountains are, and the background where the sky is. I hope you have just as much fun playing with patterns and landscapes today. Remember, if you don't have paint, you can always use markers or crayons. Have fun, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.